So we're going to do the meditation on looking at the emptiness of feeling. And again, just exploring, not worrying. Nice straight back. Motivation for both self and others, both temporary and ultimate happiness. And back to the breath. And just the breath for a bit. Re-steadying, refocusing the mind. And so first asking an open question, an investigating question. Does feeling, is it influenced by the way that you label things? Your mental factor of discrimination that recognizes and labels and identifies that part of the mind, does it have an influence on your feelings? And you can think of a simple example. A simple example would be if you've labeled the traffic that you're in as bad traffic. Does that labeling bad traffic have an influence on your mind feeling pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? Never mind what the actual case of the traffic is. Is the way you label it having an influence on the way you feel it? If your mental factor of discrimination says things like, "This is good, I like being here," when those words and those labels are in your mind, does that have an influence in how you feel about the situation? Are they related or unrelated? And then shifting to ask, does the mental factor of contact have an influence on feeling? So the outside world meeting the inside world, that coming together of object, sense power, sense consciousness, physical organ, when all of those things meet, it's called contact. Does that have an influence on what you're feeling? That meeting of outside and inside. And when the mind moves, when it moves towards an object or a thought, that movement of mind, which we call intention, does that have an influence on how you feel? And does what your mind is focusing on have an influence? That mental factor of it, mental engagement or attention, when the mind is holding and focusing continuously on something, does that type of engagement have an influence on how you feel? It could be what you're watching or what you're concentrating on when typing. But does the way and what you're focusing on have an influence on how you feel? And so what you're really asking yourself is, are my feelings random and spontaneous, coming out of nowhere? Or are there many things influencing why and when they arise? Many internal influences, many external influences? Or is it random? And of those countless influences on what makes a feeling arise, are any of them independent, autonomous, self-driven? Is there one mental factor or one aspect that's in charge or the boss of the rest? Is there a boss? Just searching, not needing to decide yet. Is there some part of the mind that has control over everything else in the mind, all by itself? Does it make sense to give all the credit to just one piece of experience for being the creator of that sensation? Or to give all the blame to just one part? Does it make sense? And so try and rest on the conclusion that whatever I'm feeling doesn't have one cause. It's completely empty of standing alone. and dedicate all the energy of hearing, contemplating, and meditating to fulfilling your fullest potential in order to be of greatest benefit to self and others. So I'm going to end this session a little bit earlier than the schedule says, but in your mind just really hold that meditative atmosphere and continue that kind of solitary exploration, being by yourself, staying quiet, just contemplating these issues. So just give yourself some space to process. If you want to go for a walk, anything like that. But try and keep a meditative atmosphere. So even though you'll hear people moving around and you'll hear other people talking, just kind of keeping that commitment that if you stay quiet, it will be helpful for everything to digest, and it will help you go more deeply in the continuing sessions. So do your best, and have a nice dinner, and I'll see you after.